Whoa. What did you guys think of that one? Hey, it's Max, the original Flowgrammer, the creator and host of the Agentic Arena, which about 3.5 weeks ago was just a harebrained idea in my brain. So thanks to the players, to NN, to Dr. Puriva, to everyone that made this into a real thing. I'm still kind of mind blown. This is the winner AMA since it just streamed. Nate, congratulations on cinching that. And Jack, fair play to you. I think on the challenge design and whatnot, there's a lot of good feedback, I think, for the next one to set everyone up for success. But it was really tense there for a minute. I think when Nate failed the tacos thing and you saw the robot went back so much, everyone was really curious who was going to win. But yeah, so what's the agenda today? We're going to keep this short and sweet because I've been editing for the last 8 days and your boy definitely needs a little bit of rest. We're doing an AMA with the winner, Nate Herk. Before that, I'm going to talk about the community contest, which is starting tomorrow, where you can build along. There's over 10K in prizes that you can claim as part of that. And someone says I should give away the suit as one of the prizes. That's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll do that in a follow-up. But so be posting your questions to Nate, and we'll be answering those in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about the Agentic Arena community contest. So let's open that up. All right. So this Notion page is going to be live, but let me actually just find the link that I need to send you guys. And that's going to take a second because I am manning this myself right now. There's no one in the green room. So 1 sec, we're going to find Liam's link there in Slack. We're going to copy that and paste that in there. So that is a link to actually an end-to-end workflow that's serving the contest. But let's go through it right now. That page should link also to the this Notion doc. If not, by tomorrow, well, I'll share this Notion doc in the Slack as well. But basically, community contest for you to be building challenge 1 from the Agentic Arena. There's some submission requirements. Basically, what we need you to do is download the workflow. There's details here on the workflow itself, the starter workflow. And you got to build your attempt at it. You got to run the evaluations, and then you got to record a small video, let's say a Loom video, of you going through your workflow, showing that you did the evaluations. And then basically on this page, which is powered by an end-to-end workflow, you get to submit that. We're going to have an AI workflow that checks your submission and makes sure it's not full of crap. And if it's legit, then you basically spin the wheel, and there's a prize. There's like a better prizes with over $10,000 worth of prizes. So we got big prizes like a $250 gift card. We got 1 year off Cloud Pro, and we got little prizes too, like $20 off Cloud, t-shirts, that sort of thing. There's over 10K worth of prizes. So definitely check that out, because by submitting, you're also registering for a chance to be in the next Agentic Arena. The next Agentic Arena is not confirmed yet, but if you like this, if you tell your mum, if you do all that good stuff online, with any luck, Lewis is going to approve us for the next one. All right. In 1 minute, we're going to bring Nate online here. So do be posting your questions with him. I got the winner of the Agentic Arena here, the illustrious Nate Herk, is going to be answering your questions, and a few of mine as well, a few of my cheeky questions. Just checking if there's anything else on the workflow here. I think not. So what we're going to do is we're just going to share this link as well in the chat. But the various sites, if they don't have the link, we'll just double check this right after. We'll make sure that's in there. But that's got all the details there. Happy flowgramming, guys, on that one. And again, 10K in prizes to be claimed, 200 prizes in total. And big ups to Liam, my colleague who built that all out inside of N8N. He's going to be publishing a video on how that whole workflow actually works and stuff. Great. Is my stream working? It says it's not working. All right. We're going to switch to Nate Herk. And guys, write in the comments if it's down. All right. Nate, you ready? Great. Hey there, winner chicken dinner. How's it going?
Man, it's going all right. How are you doing, Max?
I am relieved that we had an Agentic Arena. I got a pretty big budget from my boss, and we had a hard drive die while I was in editing. But thank goodness for backups. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all appreciate all the work you put into this. It's been a super cool event, first of its kind in the industry.
I'm curious. Like my pleasure, man. Honestly, it's like the fact that the likes of you and Jack joined made it real. Right before it was just an idea for me. And be honest, what was your first reaction when I sent you pretty like disorganized pitch for this, right? I didn't send any graphics or anything or document. It was just a text message. What was your first reaction?
It was just a long message, I think, on LinkedIn. And I scanned it over and I was like, I'm not exactly sure on this timeline what it's going to look like, but I've always believed in you and it sounded like fun. So I was here for the vision and I knew that we were going to make something cool happen.
That's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. And I can confirm, guys, Nate is awesome and really kind in person. He was, I think the one thing though, next time we see the Agentic Arena crew, you promised everyone a drink and we didn't get to it because we were, and it was thrown down that night. So next time we see each other, mate, drinks on you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, let's get to people's questions. I see some coming in. So we got one from Andy here. Nate, any tips for reproducibility? I'm assuming this is in terms of agentic outputs.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to switch over to N8N about a year ago when I found out about it, because of those custom workflows you can build out, and then you can use those with as many agents as you want. So, you can create a tool that turns an image into a video. And now if I build 20 different agents, I can have them all link up to that same tool. And all you have to worry about is sending over the right variables. And so if you start to build your workflows in a really, modular way, you cut down your time to build because you have like these different Lego blocks that you can leverage and just kind of take them off the shelf and plug them in. And, I saw that N8N's one of the recent updates where you can literally just highlight a section and click on a button that says convert to sub workflow. That's a great way to sort of just get in that practice of turning everything into sub workflows. In order to do that, you want to make sure you're naming everything properly, putting things in the right folders, tagging them correctly. But then, like I said, you just have like this library of reusable components, and that's really going to help out.
Makes a lot of sense. Great time to plug the N8N.io template library. Just Google N8N templates.
There you go.
Nate's got a few as well on there. So Nate, another great question that's coming in, and thanks a lot, guys. Again, wherever you're watching this, post in the threads. It's auto syncing it. I'm looking for the best ones and cherry picking them. But Nate, we got a question. How did you decide on the models that you picked, basically? And would you have chosen different ones for the different challenges in retrospect?
Yeah, that is a great question because that's a huge part of these challenges, especially in a timed environment where, first of all, the big variable is that AI is going to be evaluating. So that was a bit scary to me. And then, of course, like some are better at being fast. Some have deeper thinking. Some are way more expensive. And so given the constraints of the challenge, the first one we were basically told you're optimizing for performance. We don't care how much it costs or how long it takes. So like you guys saw the cut down version, but we were all just sitting there waiting because me and Jack's models were just running so long because we wanted like deep thinking.
If I may quickly, Nate, you guys really got us there. We didn't assume that you guys would have like execs that would take 10 minutes. The production manager on a set, we were like 20 minutes over for lunch. You guys really got us there. So next time around, there's a speed component on every single challenge. But touche.
There's got to be. It really gamified it because it's not like, hey, you're building a solution for a client that we're going to put into production. It's, hey, you have 30 minutes. Here's what you're optimizing for. Go do it. So a different element. But anyways, the reason why I went with Opus 4 with thinking in the first challenge is because I went for the shoving everything in the context window, and I knew that context window could manage. And that's why the first thing I did in that challenge was I looked at all the documents and I tried to guess how many tokens it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I went for Opus 4 thinking. Looking back, I probably wish I would have went for a different reasoning model, just because of the way that the agent was outputting information. I know you guys didn't see that in this premiere, but what actually happened was sometimes it was outputting a variable called just output, and sometimes it was like the thinking dot output. So a couple of times I got 0 in that challenge when I really probably could have got a few points. So that's one thing I would have changed there. And then for the second challenge, we knew speed was just like very, very important. So that's why I went for Flash. Out of all the testing I've done, it's just been the quickest. So
makes a lot of sense. One follow-up question, just as we wait for some more to accrue, actually, from my side, was the prompt injection. Tacos. What happened there? Were you thinking about prompt injection, or you just kind of forgot about it?
I'm not eating another taco until a year later. But the thing is, I was thinking about it for the first challenge, because in my mind it was RAG. We've got a workflow evaluation set. We've got Dr. Peer Eval prancing around. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to think about prompt injection here. And then for the second one, because it was going to be you talking on the mic to the robot, it just didn't cross my mind. And also, watching this back was cool because I saw Jack whisperflowed, "Beware of prompt injections." And in the moment, I didn't hear him do any of that. I wasn't hearing him at all. Like I thought it'd be a little more like we'd hear each other, but really you're just so locked into your own screen. But yeah, as soon as you said just say tacos, 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 I think my heart dropped and I was like, oh no. Because I knew Eval was going to kick that thing back pretty far.
Oh yeah, and he did. And it's funny, like with the production company, when we would like doing this, so like, I did the creative and stuff, but they, like got the cameras and everything organized, and they were like, wait, this is live? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, it's not produced, like you don't know who the winner is? I'm like, of course not, like we can't do that to our community.
Oh, really?
They were like, no, you don't understand. Game show, like, it doesn't work like that. Like, they almost never go like that. This is going to be insane. I was like, nope, we're doing this. So actually, it was for TV so perfect that your prompt injection thing didn't work out. So thank you very much, my brother. But
yeah,
to everyone watching at home, remember, I guess, even for voice agents, you might have Max the Catch saying tacos, tacos, tacos on the other end. Very cool. So let's have a look. What else we have here? There's a question. Do you use Whisperflow frequently when you're building day to day?
Oh yeah, I rely on Whisperflow. I think my team and I got on it maybe like 20 weeks ago. I pulled up my Whisperflow to see my stats, and I've Whisperflowed over 500,000 words at this point. I don't really type anymore. I don't always use it for like system prompting, but just in day to day productivity, emails, responding to community posts, whatever it is, it just helps a ton. I can talk a lot quicker than I can type. I think most people are probably that way. And also when you're free and you can just speak, I think that sometimes you think of things that you wouldn't have thought of if you were focused on typing. I don't know. I love it. Makes
sense. It's funny. It's one of these things, like, obviously there's all this like new tech coming out and stuff. You don't get it all. Whisperflow, generally there's kind of like local, voice to text is something I haven't jumped on yet. When you guys were Whisperflowing it up, I was feeling like such like a village idiot, like such a yokel. I was like, okay, these guys are like in 2025 right now, and I need to like get like, what am I doing with my fingers still? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even like just straight up voice to text. It's got some AI stuff. So like it will reformat your stuff, and it will sometimes throw in like better vocabulary. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I think this might be actually a bit more for me, but we'll speak on that. So, did you guys see the eval set beforehand and design the workflows based on that, or was that private? So you can give your perspective, but so what we told the players at a high level what each challenge will be. So like, hey, number one's going to be a RAG, number two is going to be this, because we wanted to make sure that each player has a tool they're comfortable with. Like, if you've never used Supabase Vector Store using Quadrant, for example, I don't think it's fair that we make you use Supabase. Like, you should know, you at least generally prep with the tools. And then, Nate, did we give you a specific example of the eval sets the day before? I think not. You basically understood high level it's going to be RAG, but you didn't see the documents, you didn't see the evals. When the challenge started is when you first saw that input and output schema. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think the very first thing I actually did was I clicked on that input right away. because with the AI evaluation, it's so it's so specific towards like the structure of the output, because it was evaluating for correctness. So basically similarity, I guess. But I wanted to see like the structure, if sources were at the bottom, if sources were embedded, and I tried to figure out like that's how I need to prompt my agent to output its answers as well. And so yeah, it was super interesting. I think obviously that's the best way to do it.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was kind of going into it pretty blind, but had some strategies prepared, of course.
Makes sense. I'm sure everyone's wondering this. Any advice for yourself 10 days ago, now that you went through it? What would you have done differently?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I should have known was on the trivia one. I should have known there was going to be some edit and stuff in there. I should have known with Max up there that there was going to be a question about like what's the best platform. There was going to be something about. I mean, there was one about the name, which both our agents got right, which was cool. But yeah, those would have been some easy points I could have picked up on.
Yeah, man. It was oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to think about like what else I would have told myself really. I think I was overthinking it. I think the day before, after the community event, I was talking to people the night before, and I started to get really in my head about like, like, do I need to whip out some crazy strategies? Like, do I need to look at like some tons of pre-processing of the data, or do I need to look at some OCR to use on these embedded PDFs? And in 30 minutes, it's just like you don't have enough time. So really, what I would have told myself is just like, you know how to build basic workflows. Just stick to what works. And just trust it, really.
Yeah. I think one thing that's interesting here is like, because obviously there's a lot of other content that's going to teach you how to like build like the right production ready workflow. But I think for this, it was like, okay, let's do something different. Like this is going to be thrown away. This doesn't have to have 50 hours of QA on it. Like, what happens when you're building fast? You know what I mean? And yeah, I'd be really curious if we get greenlit for another Agentic Arena. How do you feel about defending your title, world champion?
Ooh, that could be interesting. It could be certainly interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be involved in whatever capacity for the future of Agentic Arenas. It'll be fun.
You heard it here first, everyone. You heard it here first. Perfect. Well, Nate, let's get to some more real questions from the people. Let's see. All right, so we got one here from Rakib. When to use which one? AI sub agents versus sub workflow. So we got the new AI agent as tool, and we've got a whole workflow. What's your advice to the people on when to use which one?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think with the buzz about the word AI agent, there's just so many times where you think you need an agent, but realistically you don't. And in order to actually come to that conclusion, what you have to do is you have to map out the steps of your sub agent or your sub workflow. And if you understand the input and the desired output, and the steps to get to that output are always going to be the same, then there's no reason to add an AI reasoning element.
Mhm.
You know, the AI is great, and we all are brought together here by AI automation. But really the goal when you're building something should be, how can I get rid of as much AI as possible? Like that's truly the goal when you're building a workflow, because all AI does is it adds opportunity for a wrong decision to be made or a hallucination or something like that. Now, when you use it right, of course, it's very powerful. But my point being, if you can have something happen where it's step 1, step 2, AI, step 3, step 4, that's still better than an AI agent having to choose between step 1, step 2, and you know what I mean? Like giving the ability, or you can keep everything on one set path, and then you're just in way more control.
Yep.
So I guess like if I could just boil it down to one sentence, it would be, if the workflow is deterministic, I know it's a big word, but deterministic, you want to go for a workflow. And if it's non-deterministic, that's when you need the AI reasoning and brain element. And that's when you go for a sub agent.
Yep, completely agree. It's like, in other words, it's like the non-deterministic LM, it gives degrees of freedom. Some of those degrees could end up being a bad case. So whenever you can, like if it's a simple enough thing, like don't give it that variability. Awesome. Thanks for that, Nate. Here's a question. Let's see. Why did you start to use N8N when you kind of were getting into automation?
The truthful answer is, I saw a video and I saw the agent with the red circle spinning, and then it called its tool, and the tool started spinning, and I was like, that's sick. And that's why I switched over. But then I got in there and I realized it was super modular. Maybe up front looks a little more technical, but once you actually understand what's going on under the hood, definitely not. And yeah, like I said, the reusability of being able to make a workflow and just understand, okay, I have the send email tool, And now I never have to build that again. It's just going to be there for all of my agents in the future. And like I said, that just really makes it so much quicker and easier to actually start to build more and more agents.
Totally. And so for anyone that's not familiar with Nate's journey, so you don't come from a very technical background, right? Like you weren't from a programming background?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So if you think about like your first, weeks and months and non-technical background, any advice for people who are getting into it and who don't have a programming background?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's so cool about it nowadays. It's becoming so much more democratized, and the barrier to entry keeps getting lower and lower. Like if you go back and you watch my very first YouTube video where I built an email agent, it looks much more intimidating. Like you had to specify your input schema in JSON, you had to pass over these variables in a different way. I remember I was always using like a JSON.stringify expression in front of all the variables, and it's just so much easier now. But really, if I could just kind of like say one thing, it would be don't run before you walk. And in my mind, what that means is start building workflows and understanding logic before you try to get into something agentic, because then you add in all these variables of prompting and tool calling. But if you can figure out JSON, how does a variable move from the first node in my workflow to the last node in my workflow? And if you can understand that and APIs, then everything else becomes a lot easier. But I will say, when I first got started, those were the two biggest hurdles I had to get over. But once I understood JSON and APIs, the rate of my learning just like exponentially grew, because like I said, that's what powers everything in end-to-end.
Big plus one to that. I'm actually teaching my dad end-to-end Papa Flowgrammer, and Jason, like grokking, like before we got into end-to-end, actually just like, this is JSON, this is a variable, right? Like that really helped him. So we got one here. Let's see. All right, for this one, I like your style, Ariel. Yes, you can have a shout out. So shout out to Ariel Nixon for tuning in. Thank you. All right, let's see. We got one here. I think this is going to be an interesting one from your perspective. How do you know if you're skilled enough to start monetizing and selling your AI agents? Lots of different ways to do that. I don't know. Got a take on this, Nate?
I 100% have a take. 100%. So at its core, being paid for a service validates that you are knowledgeable enough to be paid for it. But that's like a perception thing, because that means you were able to convince someone that you hold that expertise. Now, if I was getting started and I was asking this type of question where I don't know yet if I'm able to start monetizing, what I would do is I would just offer to work for free, 100%. Because first of all, being paid for something adds another level of stress. Usually that's associated with a timeline. Usually that's you putting your brand reputation on the line. And if you're able to start with something for free, all of that's kind of removed, because now you're just building a relationship. Now you're offering free value, and you're opening up the door for potential of case studies, testimonials, or more work from this person. So what I would do is I would start for free. I would just over deliver as much as I could, provide as much value. I would ask for honest feedback and say, hey, I'm not an expert, but this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm good at. And does this actually provide value to you? Are you proud with what I was able to give you? And that is how you can basically see if you are helping a business owner, or you're helping a business with their processes, ultimately helping them save time, money, or get more money. And from there, then you can start to get more comfortable with actually upfront charging for services. But the first piece of work I did was for free, because I knew I just didn't want to have to worry about that pressure of feeling like I'm scamming someone or feeling like I'm just way over my head. So that's kind of what I would say is start there, validate that you have expertise relative to someone that you want to work with, and then start charging for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think like one way to think about this too is like, and this is again, if you're like junior and like don't have the expertise, right? When you're building theoretically, like, I don't know, I sometimes open up a workflow, I want to build a demo workflow, and it's like, whatever I'm going to build, honestly, if I have a real problem, the workflow I actually build is very different. When I'm just building a demo, I get stuck. I just change the constraints. I'm like, we'll just go this way. Yeah. When I committed to like, I have to solve a problem, I actually have to go through and I actually have to learn. And if you don't have a lot of experience, that individual that's offering you their real problems is giving you a benefit as well. They're exposing you to scenarios that you can actually help fix and then learn how to reproduce that. Let's see. We got a question here on your learning path as you were getting started. Nate, how did you approach your JSON and API learnings? Is ChatGPT? Was there a resource or channel that you can recommend?
Yeah, 100%. My answer is that, first of all, I think the best way to learn is just to actually get in there yourself and run into as many errors as possible and try to troubleshoot as many errors as possible. But the other thing I'll say is that Claude, GPT, Gemini, all of these models, they have so much JSON and HTTP request setups in their training data. And they understand that language so well because it's been around universally for so long. So brainstorming with those tools will be one of your best friends. But then as far as how I learned, like I said, I would just download a template from anyden.io, whatever it was. I would download templates and then I would run them and just really dig into node by node, like what is going on. There's a big difference between downloading a template and trying to sell it, or downloading a template for personal use and just letting it run in the background, and actually downloading it and really digging into like what's going on. Because that's when you get so much more powerful, because you can customize templates for a client's use case or customize a template for your use case, because you understand like at its core what each node is doing. And when you really break down like an API request, it's not much different than when you go to an online website to do some shopping and you're using the filters on the side. You're basically just telling the service, am I looking for shorts or a shirt? Am I looking for large, medium, extra large? Am I looking for blue, red? You're just basically sending over filters. And once you kind of get in that mindset of not letting all of these little curly braces intimidate you, it becomes super simple. And like I said, it's like that's the initial hump to get over, but then you come over that hill and it's good from there.
Yeah, and what I can tell everyone is also kind of like a script kiddie. Like I was never like an engineer. It feels cool to be able to build stuff and not have to wait on someone, just be able to do it yourself, especially today. Like, I don't know, it's never been this accessible. So we're gonna close off with a question. I don't know, I was a young builder. I did my first like freelance contract when I was like 12 or 13, building a really crappy website. But so this is for our young flowgrammers out there. I'm a ninth grader, starting with end-to-end. Firstly, you're awesome, by the way. You're probably gonna have a really successful career. Should I first learn LangChain, JS, or Python? What basics do I need to know now if I want to build projects or even start a company at my age? So for the young hustler, for the young entrepreneur, what do you recommend, Nate?
Wow. It's a great question. And I love that. First of all, I think that you have a skill and you have something like fundamentally inside of you that is going to benefit you, because you're already asking this type of question at a young age. And
100%.
really, like when you look at successful entrepreneurs, I think that's like a common trait that really separates people, is like genuine passion and just like genuinely being hungry, because it's never easy, but if those that can actually stick through are the ones that make something. So now that that's out of the way, it's an interesting question. And I think that my perspective, people may disagree. I don't think there's a right answer, but if something like Python really resonates with you, then go for it. I don't think there's any harm in learning Python or learning one of these coding languages, because besides the actual knowledge of understanding what each block of code means, you're building these skills, which is way more important at the end of the day, which is just like problem solving and logic. Like those are the two most important things that I could stress, is like when you hit a roadblock, do you panic or do you think about, okay, why did I hit this roadblock? Where can I go back and figure out like what I need to do differently? And then most importantly, once you fix it, do you understand why you fixed that? So whether you learn code or not, become a problem solver. That is the most important thing I would say. And then second, for you at your age, I think when it comes to building a business or building a company, what else you need is just like those soft skills of being able to talk to someone and being able to understand their pain points and being able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like communicate technical concepts in terms that actually make sense to a business owner or to someone that's non-technical. So if you start just developing these soft skills where you just start talking to business owners and you just start understanding people's pain points, what that's going to help a lot with is like imposter syndrome, which is something that I deal with big time. I think the first time me and Max talked, I was like, hey, Max, I'm dealing with this. You know, I'm talking to business owners. I'm pretty young. And that was a big problem for me. But when you start to get into this mindset that like expertise is relative, even though they may be more experienced than you in this area, you hold expertise in this area that they don't. So it's all relative. And I would say just keep doing what you're passionate about. Don't just jump into something because you hear other people pushing it or you think it's a great opportunity. You still want to go for what genuinely excites you, and that's how you'll be successful.
I agree there. I think just as someone who was really like a young builder, my one advice too is like, again, I think my first freelance website, which was a really crappy website, but it was like $80 that I got, right? So like on the money, it was like, like $3 an hour or something. But again, I got the amazing benefit of learning on like a real problem and stuff. And really to this day, not a week goes by in my career where I don't like have a learning or like some deja vu from like some like age 12 to age 15 freelance moment, be it on the soft skill side, like a red flag client vibe, or on the technical
Yep.
side, or like, oh, back something up because I that one time in cPanel 10 years ago. So yeah, to all the young builders, great advice from Nate. And I fully agree. Just the fact that you're asking this question, that you're here, they're already learning this, you're in a great position. And make sure it's your curiosity, right? That's fueling that, not like a short-term payout right now, because you're very early in your career. You got a long runway to go. So Nate, we're basically at time here. I want to thank everyone for the questions. I want to thank you and Jack for your time, for your passion, for the micro content that you're hopefully going to continue posting in the next weeks about this. I'm gonna send over a bunch of assets.
Nice.
And yeah, to everyone watching this, again, this is trying to make an automation tool, plausibly B2B tool, into esports. It's not going to be easy. I think personally, there's a lot of learnings. I think the next one, if it gets greenlit, is going to be a lot better challenges, better format, better prep for the players. One thing I really want to make sure for all you, everyone at home, is on the next one that we get a bit deeper into the workflow, get into the brains of the builders and understand. So there's a bit more edu than tainment. I think this was a bit more tainment than edu on the edutainment side. But either way, it's a V1. So again, Nate, thanks so much. I know it's early in the States, so thanks for joining early on. I hope you have an amazing start to your week. And now that the Premier's shipped, we're going to get that 10K to your charity. And like we said on camera, we're going to double that. So we're also, we got a beautiful end-to-end user called the Brain Tumor Charity in the UK that does great work. So we're going to give a 10K to them, 10K to your charity. And yeah, 20K to charity, everyone. So great job. So yeah, Nate, thanks again so much, and have a good one, mate.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, everyone, in the last minute here, I guess we're running a minute or two over. I'm just going to once again shill the community contest with over 10 Gs in prizes up for grabs. So let's have a look at this here. The community contest is starting at noon tomorrow, CEST. This document here, I'm going to share that with you guys again in the chat. This should be in relevant pages. So if this is missing somewhere, just go to an NN social, and you'll see this by tomorrow here. But there's the Notion page. There's also the actual submission contest itself that we'll link to the Notion page if it doesn't already. And yeah, 10K in prizes available. We're going to actually switch to the submission page because this was made in NN as well, which I think is pretty cool. But how this works is you download challenge 1, you build challenge 1, create a quick video of you recording challenge 1, and then in 18 hours and 26 minutes, this will get replaced by a web form. You submit that. If you didn't upload a BS video and you actually did the workflow, and our AI believes that you did, we will basically spin the wheel, and via email, you'll get one of these prizes. So over 200 prizes. We've got little itty bitty prizes like NN Cloud Starter Pro for a year, sticker pack, but then also just like $250K, $250 Visa gift card. So lots of different prizes, limited edition Agentic Arena tee designed by yours truly as well. And let's see, let's have a quick look at that collection here. So we made the sticker pack as well with Nate and Jack. I hope you guys are right with that. I didn't clear that with you guys before, but there's a little sticker pack, and then the tee was featured in the Agentic Arena. All right, let's stop sharing that. That's a wrap, everyone. Again, I haven't slept in like 10 days, so I'm gonna go relax, go rewatch this episode, go reply to some comments. You're awesome for watching this. You're awesome for participating. You're awesome for sharing this with your friends and family so that I keep my job. Thank you very much. And thanks to NAN for bankrolling this whole thing, because this is my job and this is pretty cool. So really grateful to everyone. Thanks, everyone. I'm Max, the original Flowgrammer. And keep it a